Tell me who you walk with, and I will tell you who you are. Never understood that saying growing up. It's like, how can you know who I am based upon who I'm walking with or hanging out with or surround me daily? What do I take away from them, or what do they give onto me that show you who I am? Do you feel sometimes that you maybe got some certain trait from a friend, or that you got some certain knowledge that you just took with you forever and expressed it wherever you go, where he's like, oh, you've been hanging out with so-and-so. I remember him saying that a lot. Has there been a moment where that has happened to you? I don't know. I guess to me it's just I've never encountered that where someone has said that. What is it about others that people seem to find in you? Especially those that you associate with on a daily basis. And what do, let's say, I receive from those that surround me? I mean, what do I receive from them that shows you who I am? Always questioned it. I never understood it. And then I found about this group. I found about this group that, man, was the epitome of this saying. Because you knew who they were and who each individual was from that group because of who they associated with. They were always together. Always together. They walked up and down. Not only were they together every single day, they congregated together every single day. They spoke almost the same words every single day. Everything that they did it together. Now, it was a vast majority of them, but they had their groups. And they would go out, and you could see them wherever you walked around. You see them just gathered together, whatever they were doing, you can tell. And even if you just saw one walking by himself, oh, you knew. He's one of them. I know exactly what he's like. I know exactly what he would say to me if he saw me doing this or doing that. I know him because I know who he's walking with and who he associates himself with on a daily basis. This group didn't just walk together and potentially just did everything together, but they shared in so much more together. They shared in beliefs, in culture. It was them and them alone. You and I, we ain't getting in. We can't. We weren't born the way they were born. We weren't born, well, we were born the way they were born. But we weren't born into what they were born into. You see, they not only dressed the same, spoke the same, acted the same way towards others, shared culture, shared beliefs, shared rules and regulations. On top of that, they believed that all this made them righteous. All of these things that made and created their group just put this picture together in their mind of righteousness by what they did, by what they believed in, by what they followed, by what they didn't do, by who they didn't talk to, by who they didn't associate with. felt, it seemed, to everyone else that they were better than everyone else. You see, they, in their minds, had something that no one else could get, that no one else could have. And so, of course, they're better than you. You can't have what I have. You can't get to what I can get to. I was born into it. You, not even close. Don't you know who my forefathers are? How can you have what I have when the promise is to our people and not yours? There's no way. There's no way that you are righteous because you don't do the things that I do. And you can't. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. We were chosen. We come from the line of Abraham. Guided by Moses, given the laws and the regulations that show us how to be righteous. They show us how to be in God's good favor. And so, this group, which above anything else, in their own minds, were righteous, they also felt that because of what they did, they were righteous. All the things that they did, they prayed every day, maybe 3-4 times a day. They didn't eat this, they didn't eat that. They went to synagogue. They read the scriptures. They memorized the scriptures. Everything they did brought them their righteousness. Brought to them, in essence, what they felt was their salvation. By all these things that they were doing, and all these things they had access to. And they were an elite group. Tell me who you walk with, and I will tell you who you are. Oh man, you're a Pharisee. I can see you from a mile away. I don't have to guess. I don't have to squint. I can just look up, and I could tell who you are. And that was this group, self-righteous in their mind, not letting anyone else in, and not letting anything get out. For they only preached to their own. They only spoke to each other. It's elite. That's who we walk with. That's who we are. And then I found another group. Boy, talk about a completely different set of people. They couldn't have been any different. And I mean, each one of them was different. They too walked together. They too hung out all the time. They too shared in some customs, in some beliefs, some rules and regulations. They too walked together. But what was different about them was that they were all different. They didn't wear the same clothes. They didn't say the same things. They didn't even think the same things. Their motives weren't based strictly on specific things. I think I was trying to say specificity. I still can't say it. They were all different, but they did walk together. And somehow, people still knew who they were and what they had. There was something there that caused that caused others to see them and know who they were. But yet they were completely different. They didn't act the same. They didn't share some of the same things. They didn't do a lot of the same things. But yet when you saw them, you also knew who they were. And they had received something eventually. But in a different way. And it was something special. Something that could only be given. Something that can't be earned. I think you know where I'm heading with this, right? While the Pharisees felt they could earn their righteousness, these 12 disciples just followed, just had faith, and they were given and seen as righteous. You see, you knew, or you know now, who they were walking with. You see, they were walking with Christ. They were walking with Jesus. They were following Jesus. Every single day that Jesus was with them on this earth, they were with him. At least through his ministry, anyway. There wasn't a day that went by that they didn't wake up with him, that they didn't walk with him, that they didn't talk to him, that they didn't pray with him, that they didn't see miracles done by him. Not a day went by that these guys, 12 men, this group, walked with Jesus. Now, through their walk, we can say, hey man, these guys had some issues, right? I mean, they fought. Boy, did they fight. Did they argue about who's going to be number one, who's going to sit at the right hand? Man, they had disbelief. Boy, oh man, did they have disbelief. I mean, Jesus even said in the Word, "O ye of little faith." And yet, they were seen as righteous. And they had righteousness. Even with the little faith, they still had faith. And that faith gave them their righteousness. You see, the Pharisees were following the rules. They were following the regulations. They thought what they were doing earned them these things, but you can't earn it. It was freely given. And if they looked to the forefathers that they were basing everything on, they could clearly see that it was only by faith that they would earn their righteousness. We could start with Abraham. Genesis 15:6. Follow me there. Genesis 15:6. It says here, and he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for what? Righteousness. And he followed all the rules. He followed all the regulations. He went to Canaan like God said. And then God said, oh yeah, Abraham, you're righteous. No, that is not what happened. Abraham, before doing, before acting, before going, before following the commands, he believed. And God counted it to him for righteousness. It was belief that God had the best in mind for me. Belief that, man, I'm leaving my land, something that I'm used to, something that I love, a place where I have grown, a place where everybody knows me, a place where I have settled, I have riches, I'm wealthy, I'm great, I've been blessed by God. And now that same God is asking me to give it all up and move to somewhere where I don't even know. Yep. Abraham said, you know what? You got it. I will go. I believe that what you have in store for me is so much better than what I have right now. I have faith, God, that you are going to be with me and that you will never forsake me. Now, along the way, after he got there, I mean, when you read the Abraham story, he stumbled, right? Had a couple of hiccups here and there. But he never lost faith. Although it might have dwindled at times, might have found a little, Lord, but might have listened a little to Sarah, you know. In the end, he was faithful to God. And God counted Abraham as a righteous man for his belief, not because of the things that he did. So if these Pharisees would have only looked, oh man, I mean, they memorized these scriptures, memorized. And yet they couldn't see the plain, the obvious. What they did and what they were doing wasn't earning them righteousness. And we can take it a step next. I mean, when Jesus talked to them, they would clearly mostly revert back to Moses, right? Oh, Moses, the law that God gave to Moses. Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11, we're going to read verses 24 through 29. Hebrews chapter 11, 24 through 29. It says, by what? By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt. For he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. By faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians essaying to do were drowned. Moses lived, followed by faith. Hence, he is here in what we call the faith chapter, right? Chapter 11 of Hebrews. It was all by faith. It was nothing that Moses did that earned him righteousness, that earned him all these wonderful things, this grace that was given to him and the nation freely. You can't earn this. You just got to believe. You just got to follow. Listen, understand, be guided by. Believe in God. Believe in Christ. Our propitiation. That which brings us righteousness when we do, in faith, follow and believe. And the things that come after that, are the works, are the things that you do. Because we believe, because we love, because we want to follow. We keep the commandments. Because we have faith. It starts bringing us that righteousness and that feel and that belief that these things we do freely out of love for what grace has given us. You don't do the works to get that grace or that salvation, to be in good standing with God. You do them because you love God, and you believe in God, and you have faith in God. We'd like to finish in Romans. Romans chapter 3. Romans 3, we're going to start verse 22. 3:22 through 26 says, even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Jesus Christ, unto all and upon all them that what? Believe. For there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus, whom God has set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past through the forbearance of God. To declare what? I say, at this time, his righteousness, that he might be just, and the justifier of him which what? Believeth in Jesus. We are justified for our belief in Christ. The 12 disciples believed in Christ, they followed Christ, and they were justified by Christ. They were righteous because the one they walked with told them who they were. Tell me who you walk with, and I will tell you who you are. It was clear. The disciples walked with Christ. It was evident. You could see it in their faces. You could see it in their behavior as they walked with Christ, and they grew with Christ. And even Christ, after he was not there with them, they continued to grow in him. They continued to believe. For everything that Christ had told them while he was walking with them came to be, and he sent the Comforter, and the day of Pentecost rained upon them. And now they knew that it was time to continue to walk with Christ and for Christ, to tell others how they too can be obtainers of salvation by grace that brings righteousness. Who do you walk with every day? Who do you find yourself relating with and spending time with? Who do you give your moments to? Those special moments, whether it be of grief, whether it be of happiness, whether it be a great day or a terrible day, who do you want to share in those moments? Who do you want others to see in you? What do you want others to see in you based on who you're walking with? Do you want to be self-righteous? Do you want to be seen as someone who thinks is better than others? Or do you want to be seen as a humble, righteous person who loves God and Christ with all their heart and all their might? My appeal is, let them see the latter. Thank you.